Welcome to eAssist Growing Your Dental Business podcast. Tune in as the experts in dental business share tips and tools to grow your practice. To learn more, visit dentalbilling.com. Please welcome our next guest.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Growing Your Dental Business podcast. My name is Jacqueline Hurley. I'm the director of Dental Zing, which is the educational platform for both eAssist and for Dr. Charles Blair's Practice Booster. I'm super excited to introduce you to Leslie Thornton, who is from Albany, New York. He is a neurolinguistic programming trainer. So we're going to have a lot of fun talking about some of the things that are in her wheelhouse. She is the founder and CEO of Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss, which is an international health coaching program for people who are seeking mental freedom from food, body, and weight, and is a leading expert in the holistic health space. So this is going to be an interesting episode because we will be talking about how hypnosis can help dental professionals with their goals, or even just whatever their goal is. I'm sure it's going to be, we'll talk about different goals all over the place with dentists today. So welcome, Leslie.
Thank you so much for having me, Jacqueline. I'm excited to be here.
Good. I'm excited to have you here too. So I always ask the question about how you got into dentistry. And so you actually have a nursing background and you really focus on the overall health of individuals. So I would love to hear a little bit about your story of jumping from nursing into dentistry.
Yeah, absolutely. So I worked in kidney transplants and then the surgical and neuro ICU as a nurse. And, I quickly knew in nursing, even though I loved it and got so much from it, that it was not my last stop. So I was kind of on the hunt for what was going to be next. And for myself, I always personally struggled with food, body, and weight stuff. I was a, chronic dieter and
Don't we all?
Yeah, so many people, exactly.
I know.
I found that even, through my struggle, and I actually found hypnosis myself in 2011, I was skeptical as a nurse, of whether this was actually going to work or not. Why wouldn't they have taught me this in nursing school if it actually did? But I was desperate enough to try anything and tried it on and woke up the next day. And my crazy incessant thinking about food, body, and weight thoughts and dieting were not there anymore. I knew they should be there, but I was not controlled by them anymore. And then I just got very fascinated by everything that had to do with the unconscious mind and found, the science behind how hypnosis worked, as well as neurolinguistic programming, timeline therapy, and then coaching. And then just started having people come to me after sharing my story, like, can you just do whatever you did on me? So the business kind of found me and have been doing it ever since. And then, I just personally, I heard that the suicide rate in dentistry was very high, that depression, 25% of dentists are depressed.
Yeah.
And that bothers me, because I know that the work that I do, a lot of emotional mastery type of interventions that I provide people, and I know leaders especially, can use that type of thing. That's what I provide for people. And so, when I heard that was the statistic going on, then, I met someone in dentistry and decided to start talking about what I did and see if I could also be of service in this industry as well.
That's wonderful. It sounds like although your company is called Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss, you've really expanded that into just mental health all the way around and using hypnosis to help people just control their thoughts through hypnosis, no matter what their goals are in accomplishing. And it sounds like I was thinking maybe you focused on with dentists on their patients, but it sounds like you really mostly focus on dentists, their dental teams, how to help them be more effective and just more successful in the career that they've chosen. I know I was reading an article that talked about how the workplace can be a high source of stress, and one of the most stressful professions is that of a dentist. And I think a lot of it is they're kind of just in the practice all day, every day. And it kind of is a sedentary lifestyle, unless you really make an effort to work out or get out and do things outside of the daily office grind, right? And even though you're with people and if you're people oriented, but a lot of time dentists are into dentistry. They're not really into business management. They're not really into managing their teams. They're not as much into managing even the patients. They love a lot of times they love the day-to-day, interaction with their patients, but a lot of times they don't. They just really love the clinical aspect of dentistry. So it just kind of depends. And it sounds like you can really help a dentist or a dental team mastering their mind when it comes to just working through all of the logistics for all of that.
Yeah, I've done a lot of research and had a lot of conversations with different people. And, what I heard, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but, dentistry, maybe a reason that someone might have chosen dentistry in addition to be a, service based person was also the financial aspect of, okay, this is a way that I can actually make enough money that I would like to have. And then they're not expecting that, they also are going to then have to become business owners, which the stress of, like you're saying, managing people and all that kind of stuff, and then student debt and da da da. And so, I recently stumbled across somebody educating around how the 80-20 rule, that 20% is really the actions that we're taking, but 80% is really the energy, right? So the success that we actually have as business owners is the energy that we're bringing to the workplace. And so if we're just so often focusing on the 20% of just do, and doing all the right actions and the right actions, but we're not producing the results, whether it's financially or just, with retention and for employees, then that's when we have the opportunity to maybe start looking at these different types of tools like I have with neurolinguistic programming and hypnosis to really change the energy. And then also, be able to communicate in a way that might land better, that produces better results, et cetera, as we're going through.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And I thought when you brought up the word retention, not only do you want to retain your team, but you want to retain your patients. And if you're so burned out as a dentist, and you can definitely feel the energy of an office when you walk in as a patient, and if it's a good energy or a not so good energy. And I'm sure
Yes.
that that's something that you help a dentist, help them have better energy and have a stronger mind and be the person that they're meant to be, not just this workhorse day in and day out, right?
Absolutely. I noticed in my dentist office it gone, since COVID, pretty down in the energy scale, I would say. It's palpable. And I could see where people might want to start going elsewhere. So, but it's totally fixable. But it starts with the leader. So that's who I love to support.
It does. It does. So the one word you keep saying, and I had never even heard of a neuro-linguistic programming person. Can you talk about what neuro-linguistic programming is?
Yeah, it's really the study of how to be excellent in every area of life. So the unconscious mind, 95% of the results that you get is based on what's going on in the unconscious mind. The blueprint of the unconscious mind is laid out in the first 0 to 10 years of life, and it holds all of your beliefs, your automatic habits, your behaviors. And so if you think about how you think when you're 0 to 10 years old, it's very black and white thinking. You're just making associations that just become permanent, wave, patterns in the brain that have you behave and act in certain ways. And neuroplasticity has proven that when you actually slow down the conscious thinking, analyzing part of the mind, right, and you actually bring in new suggestions, new pictures, new, right, feelings, depending on how you process the world, everybody's a little bit different. Then you can actually rewire the brain and again, produce different results. So neurolinguistic programming has a mixture of, ways to communicate, right, that lands better, but also ways to communicate with yourself, self-talk, changing pictures. There's fast support, right, interventions that provide fast, immediate kind of results. And then there's things that also are, more of that slower kind of formulating of new patterns and processes in the mind. So it's really the nitty gritties of how the unconscious mind works that produces different results fast.
Oh, it sounds really interesting. So you really can actually reprogram your mind from whatever you're thinking now, that unconscious part of your mind. And like you say, from that 0 to 10, I remember our team last year, they had us do kind of a questionnaire, and I don't remember what it was, but a lot of the questions in there was, how would you answer this question from the time you were 10 to 12, or how would you answer it now? So they were trying to take us back to that time and seeing if how much we had changed from our thought process from that time to now. And, life happens. So there's a lot of things that go on around us that help change our thought processes every single day. And it sounds like you can really help kind of zero in and help an individual become successful in whatever their endeavor is, with this
Definitely.
neuro
Yeah.
linguistic programming. That's
Yeah, if you
amazing.
grew
That
up in a
sounds,
family where money was scarce, or your parents started a business and maybe it was a stressful time, like then that's going to automatically be what your experience is. So it's like, how do you actually rewrite the script so you can have a completely different experience, right? If you had diet, weight conscious parents, that's also going to be the same. So there is no like how, for myself with the weight loss, it was like, how come for some people eating is so easy? And for me, it's this huge uphill battle, right? If they can do it, why can't I? So it's changing your personality essentially, of like, how do I think and how do I behave and how do I act as if someone who has no issue with finances or business or weight or whatever it is. And then naturally by adopting those ways of being and those belief systems, you get to become that and produce those same kinds of results as well.
well, that sounds amazing. So you do all of this through hypnosis. How does hypnosis work essentially?
Yeah, again, so the other part of the mind. So we said 95% is the unconscious mind. So 5% is the conscious mind. So that's the part of the brain that as soon as you wake up in the morning, you got the panic feelings because of what happened yesterday or what is on your schedule for today, right? And the to-do list and all of those things. And we spend all of our energy focusing on that, but it's really only 5%, right, of the results that we actually get is where we're focusing all day long. So with hypnosis, it supports us in quieting down that 5% that feels so large. Okay. And so then there's space created. Then the unconscious mind has the ability to start to listen. So what happens is if your unconscious mind is out of alignment with your conscious mind. So I always use weight loss because that's my industry. But if part of you wants to lose weight, but another part of you sees the pizza that was just brought into the break room, right? And then you're battling all day long. I should eat it. I shouldn't eat it. And then you eat it and then you're mad at yourself, or you don't eat it and then you're deprived and you eat later, right? It's just this battle happening all day long. So
Yeah.
when you quiet that part down and then you actually start to speak in a certain way to the unconscious mind, which again is 95% of, the results that you're getting. So whatever's going on in there matters, right? So you getting those easy
Yeah.
results. Whatever. So then it makes it so that when you come out of the hypnosis and you're kind of back, that they're in agreement now. It's like, oh, automatically, right? So my clients will be like, it's the weirdest thing. Like, I just wanted to make a salad for myself today for dinner. That never would normally happen. Or it's the weirdest thing. Like, I wasn't in the mood for the pizza, or I said no to the cake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or, for finances, be like, oh, wow, like I just got, 2 new clients today out of nowhere. And, they're great. I really like them. And, or hey, somebody responded to the job application. And it's like, it doesn't have to be this strain. It's because your energy is shifting. So depending on what the client's goal is, right, we get clear on like what their anxious brain is saying all day long of, I'm failing and oh my God, I'm, stuck as a leader and I can't do this. And right, all of these things that we're trying not to think, but that's happening anyway. Right. And then we get clear on what's the ideal case scenario. What thoughts do you want to be thinking? And then again, strategically in hypnosis, we've kind of put together a script that then we deliver to the unconscious mind that then has you feel a different way afterwards. And of course, there's ongoing coaching that's supportive for people as they're going through it as well. So it's like, okay, at least we took off that main, anxiety point that feels so painful, right? And now we can think clearly, and now we can learn how to communicate better and, right, be more mindful with decision making, et cetera. That really can move the needle.
That sounds great. How do you, when you get a new client, what do you have a questionnaire they fill out, or how do you go through the process of finding out exactly what their goals are and exactly what they want to accomplish?
Yeah, just having a meeting, Zoom, I feel like is the new meeting of the world, meeting space.
Yeah,
So just going through questions on where you're at now and, what's it like and where do you really want to be, and can create a hypnosis script from that point, as well as, any ongoing coaching necessary as they go through.
That's amazing. That sounds so great. I'm sure you can find out so much more face to face, like even if it's via Zoom, virtually through Zoom, because you can see their body language. You can kind of see how they're, reacting to the questions and the things that they really want to accomplish. So that sounds perfect.
Hmm. Yeah.
So you haven't been in dentistry very long. Have you worked with any dentists recently that you want to talk about of how you've made a difference in their life?
Yeah, I will. I'll share a good one that I had. I worked with a dentist and he was working on selling his practice and had a lot of anxiety around if the deal was going to go through. And there was a lot of fear of letting his family down, I think fear of failure and that not happening. And he had already had some offers and they fell through. So there was just like so much. And at the same time, he was having some health issues, right? And all the list goes on of what was going on. And I actually led him through one of my emotional mastery practices. And he was a great, just went right through it. And immediately right after, he was like, how can I work with you, Leslie? Like that was very helpful. um,
Good.
so just people, we make it out to be like sometimes our problems feel so big, but just by
Mhm.
going towards the pain, going towards the fear, going towards the anxiety, and it's safe to feel it, right? And actually the fastest
Yeah.
way through is to feel it. And once people, and for myself, like, there was a time when I was terrified to feel my own emotions, because I was kind of grew up as feeling like I was like the rock, the emotional rock of the family. And I think that's why I've become, as being able to be successful as a business owner. But it's like our greatest strengths of what we're able to do is also shows us what our greatest weaknesses are. So I find that leaders' emotional mastery is not really your thing. Emotions you're not really
Yeah.
that good at, and you kind of push them away or think they're embarrassing if you let them out too much, right? So when you have a safe place to actually feel, but then also feel with an intention, like, hey, actually, if you feel this faster and you trust the process, like you're gonna feel like $1 million right after. And hey, you didn't die and no one judged you and no one abandoned you and your business didn't fail, right? So it's just really getting my clients to feel really comfortable to go in and feel them and learn how to change them around fast so you can get back to being awesome. But again, your energy changes and people can feel that you're happier and they want to work with you, etc.
That's amazing. I love that. I think that's such a great story. You think about, they're feeling the stress of selling. He's feeling the stress of selling his practice. He's got the anxiety. You've got so many emotions involved in all of that. Then you said he's had some health issues, which you don't realize how that much stress and anxiety creates all those health issues. Don't you think
Yes,
that just is such a compounding effect? And so
100%.
that's wonderful that you're able to help him through the process. And so what motivates you to keep helping these dental professionals?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, like on a very personal level, I had a friend who committed suicide and, came out of nowhere.
Mm,
And he was just such a great guy and so smart. And like some things that he shared just really changed my life. And, um, I knew I had like I saw, some different things on social media that kind of made me be like, hey, and I even asked a friend, like, how's that person doing? I haven't seems like something's a little off. And then the next thing you hear is that they're no longer with us. And there had been like a couple outreaches to me that I didn't really think of as being a big deal, but so that just kills me because it's like I know that if people were aware of the fact that their thoughts, like their darkest thoughts, shame and anger and fear, like they're valid, they're real. And, if you go towards them and feel them and you know what to do with them, they go away.
yeah.
Pretty much you read so many different stories of people. Eckhart Tolle is one. He also was suicidal and had the thought of like, I'm going to kill myself. And in that moment, he was like, wait a second, who is I and who is myself? Right. So there's like this moment. And for me, that was such a pivotal time of, I read a text that said like, you are not your body. Your body is just an accumulation of food that you've ingested from birth until now. If it wasn't for your eating food, you would have no physical body. And I was like, okay, I can get down with that. But then the second part said, you are not your mind. Your mind is just an accumulation of experiences that you've had, right? that makes you think a certain way. If you were born on a different planet or in a different family, you'd be thinking entirely different thoughts all day long. So I was like, but
True.
wait a second, if I'm not my thoughts and I'm not my body, then who the heck am I? Right. So all these, leaders have these pivotal times. Will share this exact story. For me, it was when I experienced the hypnosis for weight loss of like, oh my God, like I just got out of this mental, thinking about this 24/7 overnight with one tape, like what else can I do with the power of my mind? So for me, just anybody that I can help, especially in that kind of crucial way. And I guess I just feel inspired to say, like, sometimes we're not aware of how dark those thoughts can be, but they can show up in other
Yeah.
addictive habits, right? So for me, it's people primarily that go to sugar and food and this type of thing, but also alcohol, and you kind of just know for yourself. I always say that people's own rock bottom is their own rock bottom, right? So for some people, it might be, having to go to a rehab, but for somebody else, it's just like, this is my personal rock bottom, and it's like only you can
Mm.
know if you say that you have a problem. And I had
Yeah.
that little whisper in myself that was just like, this is getting to be a problem, something has to change. So I would just invite anybody, like, just take it seriously. Um, and know that you're feeling better and amazing and back in alignment again, and happy in life can happen faster than you think. But you do need to get out of your comfort zone. You need to ask for help. You do need to make a drastic change in order to get there. So yeah, I'm just inspired to keep sharing my story to help other people live better lives overall.
I love that. I love that so much. I know, and really individually, a lot of times we are the only person that can gauge where we're at in our mental health and what we're thinking about all day, every day. And what are those things and those triggers that are affecting us. And, one day you can feel like you're on top of the world, but the next day there might be a trigger that totally takes you down a spiral path, right? And so it sounds like I love that you work with the unconscious mind. I love that you have figured out the benefits of hypnosis and exactly what it is that you do. So, are there any parting thoughts before we wrap up today that you'd like to share, or what is the best way to get a hold of you, Leslie?
Yeah, well, I was just thinking, I just finished doing my first TEDx talk, and it was called How to Master Your Emotions in 90 Seconds. It's
Oh, good.
not out yet, but maybe by the time people are listening to this, they can look at that, and that will give them a way to be able to feel through the feelings. Heart Math Institute talks about how it only takes 90 seconds to move through an emotion, right? So, learning how to just ride the wave and know that there is that faster way out, I think would be, my parting words. And if it is my time to share how people can get in touch with me, is it?
Yeah, let's do that. That'd be great.
Awesome. My website, so hpwl.co, hypnosis for permanent weight loss.co, that way. But then also I have a free ebook. It is telling my story about the weight specifically, but it does also have some emotional mastery tools in there for you as well. So that's hpwl.info/ebook, all one word in lowercase.
That's great. So you want people to come to your website, which is hpwl.co, the best way to get a hold of you or to find you or to request a consultation or whatever it is that, and I think a lot of times when you hear something like this, you start thinking day to day, and there might be a day that you're not having a great day and you're kind of down in the dumps with your mind and you're thinking, am I ever going to get out of this situation? Whether you're just day in, day out, working day after day, trying to figure out the best thing to survive your life. It sounds like they just need to go to hpwl.co and you can help them out. Maybe get a hold of your ebook and read that. And like you said, it has some tools that can kind of walk them through some emotional thought process. And
Yeah.
it's been really fun. Yeah, it's been fun having you here today, Leslie. I
Yeah.
appreciate you telling your story. I appreciate you explaining exactly how hypnosis works and all of the things that you do and specialize in. And I feel like you are needed in the dental community. So I feel like it's been great having you on our podcast today.
Yeah, thank you so much for letting me speak to your audience. I did have another thought that I've been loving speaking, to other people's groups. So if anyone does, think that emotional mastery would support their team or anything like that, I do have a media page on the website as well. You can contact me and happy to see if I could come in and help in any way in that regard as well.
Well, I think that's a huge topic for these study clubs and different things, stress management in general, ways to fight being burned out on the job, and just that emotional mastery. I know we were going to talk a little bit about the community aspect and how, overall in the community, how do you fit into the community as the dentist in the community? And that in and of itself can create a big weight on dental professionals.
100%. I know that when I've thrived has been when I've been a part of a community up to the same thing. So that just does a lot for our energetics as well. So yeah.
I agree. Well, thank you again for joining us. We are here. This is the Growing Your Dental Business podcast. Our goal is to help you build your business. And today, as we talked about emotional mastery, hopefully, if you're struggling with anything emotionally, you can reach out to Leslie. She'd love to talk to you. So thank you, everybody, for being here.
The purpose of this podcast is to interview the consultants within our eAssist Consultant Network. This podcast is for informational purposes only. For more details, please visit the homepage of this podcast platform at dentalbilling.com. Thanks for listening.